All right. Lastly but not leastly, we look at the Islamic gunpowder empires. The Ottoman Empire is deeply impacted, well, they all are, but especially the Ottoman Empire by the Columbian Exchange. So they're certainly in that interaction. Again, just trying to make connections. Furthermore, as Europe is coming up around the Cape of Good Hope and they're entering into the Indian Ocean and trying to establish power in India, they are going to come in conflict, particularly with powers in Oman who are connected to the Ottoman Empire. And you start to see this Omani-Euro rivalry in the Indian Ocean, which actually affects the Swahili city-states as they kind of get caught in the crosshairs and as European control over the area from Africa to India is actually diminished during that time. Furthermore, just to connect it back to the Songhai, they're certainly trying to be legitimized by these other empires, by connections with them, by establishing Islamic power that way. So to talk through each of them briefly, we're going to look at first the Ottoman Empire, which we see grew over a period of about 300 years. Most famously, when it takes over Istanbul, which used to be Constantinople, envelops in that sense the Byzantine Empire and certainly takes on certain cultural pieces from the Byzantine Empire as a result. They then push into Africa. And then push down into the areas of Mecca, Medina, some of the holy areas of Islam itself. So the Ottomans kind of are leaders in terms of political authority. They're going to hang on to this power till after World War I. So it's important to realize we're talking past period 4 for sure when we talk about Ottoman power. They're Sunni predominantly, mixed with a very Turkish element because they are the Ottoman Turks that are coming in. And as traditional Muslims, they try to do two things, which we've seen before. First of all, they do respect the minorities within their jurisdiction, even allowing people of the book to worship freely, allowing certain areas, as millet areas, to worship freely based around their religion, kind of live separately. However, they still believe that Islam is the best. And so they took, as they conquered areas of the Balkan region up north here, they actually took Christian boys, brought them and converted them to Islam. You see this pictured in an example of an Ottoman miniature, which were published as the Ottoman story to legitimize their rule. They took Turkish Balkan boys, Christians, converted them to Islam, put them into the military or the bureaucracy as best suited them. So it actually worked pretty well for the Christian boys. Most of them didn't balk against this. However, certainly their parents were very bitter, and you still have a sense of bitterness in the Balkan region against some of that Ottoman control and reorientation of the children. Next door to the Ottomans, you have the Safavids, and these are very different because they follow Shi'ism, which recognizes specific people as leaders. They believe that there were 12 people, imams, who came out of and after Muhammad, and that the 12th one was in hiding. Some people suggested maybe it was Ismail, the first leader of the Safavid Empire. Maybe not, but he certainly was who the whole empire was waiting for. So they're legitimized by Shi'ism. They also were advanced through military, and they have a military system of the Qizilbash, and these followed the king and the emperor without question, unreservedly. They're known for their red pointy hats, and they not enforced the power of the emperor, and as well as utilized this religious element of Shi'ism to encourage it. The problem is that they didn't recognize modernization, so they actually didn't use gunpowder.
Does that really mean it's a gunpowder empire?
So when they go up against the Ottomans, who are a gunpowder empire, the Ottomans win uniformly, and the Ottomans are able to march into Baghdad and take over a large part of the Safavid Empire. That's that conflict. It actually pushes back Safavid control, challenges their state building. However, the Ottomans are not strong enough to actually take over all the Safavids, so you don't see a united Islam at this point. The third and final Islamic state during this time is the Mughal Empire. These are people who are trying to be like Timur Lane that we talked about earlier in this course, who had come down into India and taken over the northern part of India, kind of Pakistan. And the Mughals were trying to restart that tradition. They're also related to the Mongols. In fact, Mughal is the Indian word for Mughal. And they are more connected to the Sunni or Sufi, depending on who's in charge, except that this guy, Akbar, was very much interested. The picture of Akbar there, was very much interested in encouraging the Hindus in India to feel part of his empire. So he used more of a syncretic approach of joining the religions together, encouraged debate between the religions, encouraged unification, trying to look for common themes. And it really is suspicious how well those common themes tied into his power, because Akbar said, well, the thing I see in common between Hinduism and Islam and even Jesuit missionaries who are coming in is that you believe in an emperor and you believe you should obey that emperor. And so he established this divine faith, which ultimately just enforced his power and gave him absolute power even over religion and telling people what to believe. He also increased his power by politically restructuring most of India, using the zamindar who were in charge of land plots and using them as a network, kind of extending the Persian idea of networks and the bureaucracy that they had there to collect taxes and bring them back. The problem is, after Akbar and his more lenient approach to Islam, we see future emperors are more strict in their use of Islam, and they're actually going to provoke the zamindar to join with the peasants and fight against them, ending the Mughal Empire. However, not until they had actually left their mark. And one of the marks of the Mughal Empire is the Taj Mahal, in which we see a blending of Hindu and Islamic art quite beautifully in this tomb to one of the favorite wives of a lesser known emperor of the Mughal Empire.